It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming for Friday, January 10th. I'm Reilly Strand, in for Wendy Corr, bringing you headlines from the Cowboy State Daily newsroom, brought to you by Visit Casper. Visit Casper invites you to come enjoy the Casper International Film Festival from January 31st through February 2nd. A broad range of films from local and international filmmakers will be shown. Learn more and get your tickets at visitcasper.com. At least 3 sheriffs in Wyoming are working to help enforce immigration laws now that a federal program that fizzled under President Joe Biden is expected to revive under a second Trump presidency. Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports that the sheriff's offices of Laramie, Sweetwater, and Campbell counties are all seeking to strike or expand contracts with U.S. Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement in the coming weeks.
I think this is kind of significant because ICE over the Biden administration was not striking new deals of this nature with local sheriffs. And Trump announced in November that he's going to revive that program. And then it's sounding like the sheriffs are in talks with ICE, which is interesting considering Trump hasn't been inaugurated yet, but it's definitely a signpost of things to come.
With the exception of the Teton County Sheriff, Wyoming sheriffs generally will hold ICE detainees for up to 48 hours past their ordered release. Becoming a contract ICE detention facility lets the jail hold those inmates much longer. According to a bill set to go before the Wyoming legislature, corner crossing, hopping between public land parcels at points where the parcel's corners meet with private land, should be legal in Wyoming. Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines reports that Representative Carly Provenza's bill would clarify if corner crossing is legal. Right now, the rules are murky.
Is it legal to step across that corner from one public parcel to the other? Some people say yes, other people say no. We just had that big case that dragged on for years outside of Elk Mountain, where a rancher tried to claim some hunters trespassed on his land by crossing the corner. The courts ultimately ruled no. This House bill, what it would do is that would put it in Wyoming law, in black and white, no questions asked, no more court cases.
Supporters of Provenza's bill also want to get ahead of a potential problem: wealthy landowners who are buying up land where it's checkerboarded with public parcels. Continuing a 30-year tradition of Wyoming's congressional delegation, U.S. Senators John Barrasso and Cynthia Lummis filed a bill this week seeking to protect the name of the iconic Devil's Tower in northeast Wyoming. Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson reports that if passed into law, the bill would permanently designate the national monument as Devil's Tower.
Simply by filing the bill, whether it passes into law or not, actually protects the name, because the U.S. Board of Geographic Names is not allowed to do anything with the name change while it's being considered by Congress. So this is really kind of a political move that the Wyoming delegation, going back to former Congresswoman Barbara Cuban and former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, the push for the name change has come from more than 20 Native American tribes that believe the Devil's Tower name is offensive and does not actually represent the historical way that Native Americans referred to the tower. Many of them believe that it actually used to be called Bear Lodge.
Former President Theodore Roosevelt proclaimed Devil's Tower as the first national monument in 1906. Residents in the unincorporated Happy Valley neighborhood of Laramie County aren't so happy about proposed changes to county zoning laws, calling them a land grab. Cowboy State Daily's Renee Jean reports that county commissioners say they're just trying to be responsive to complaints, but residents aren't happy with rules like limiting a home's number of visible vehicles or restrictions on businesses' hours of operation.
Commissioner Gunnar Malm, what he said was they've had a number of people come in complaining about businesses moving in next door that are maybe not compatible with the residential neighborhood, things like trucking companies, mechanic shops, and then they want to know, why can't the county stop that? And the answer to that is not every place is zoned. So those unzoned areas, if you haven't zoned them, you really can't restrict what goes in them.
Jean reports that officials will hold public hearings to get input from residents later this month. And now let's take a look at today's weather with Cowboy State Daily meteorologist Don Day.
Winter weather will have a firm grip on Wyoming today through the weekend and into early next week. Through at least Monday, it's going to be cold, we're going to have windy periods, and we've got more chances for snow. First of all, for today, Generally sunny to partly sunny to start the day. There will be windy areas, especially along I-80 and I-25, so be ready for that. Watch for blowing snow along with those winds. Overnight tonight, another one of these Canadian waves comes through, just like the ones we've seen several times here over the last week or so. This will bring snow to northern Wyoming later today and tonight. By tomorrow morning, from the northern part of the state to the central and eastern counties, snow will be likely, especially in the mountains. This will be followed by another little wave Sunday into early Monday, and the result's the same. Windy areas, remaining cold, and periods of snow showers and light snow on the plains. Where the snow is going to be the heaviest and most widespread will be in the east central and northeast counties of the state. So folks in Crook and Weston, Niobrara, Converse, Natrona, Johnson, and Sheridan counties, you probably are going to get the most snow over this 3-day period coming on up. Lighter amounts will be found elsewhere. Heavier amounts will be found in the mountains. The Bighorns, the Black Hills in particular, will see a significant amount of snow. Very chilly temperatures and cold wind chills will linger into the start of next week before there's a bit of a break in the weather by the middle of next week. Have a good weekend, stay warm, and if you're going to be traveling, be careful. Roads and highways will be tricky at times statewide.
You can get Don's full forecast on the Cowboy State Daily website. I'll be back in just 15 seconds with more news.
Open enrollment is here. Discover a range of low-cost plans from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming. Shop now to find the best option for you. Online, in town, in touch. We're right around the corner. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wyoming. What's your plan?
Wyoming Game and Fish Director Angie Bruce harshly criticized a Biden administration decision to keep grizzlies under federal endangered species protection. Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines reports that Bruce believes the decision dismisses the work Wyoming has put into managing bears.
They really wanted to see the grizzlies delisted. From Game and Fish's perspective, they have put in a ton of work and a lot of money managing bears now for years and years, and they feel that they are able to take the helm and manage bears in Wyoming from Wyoming.
Others praised keeping grizzlies protected. A region-wide coalition of environmental groups, including Wyoming wildlife advocates, stated that keeping grizzlies listed is the right thing to do. A federal judge on Thursday struck down President Joe Biden's rules granting accommodations for transgender students, such as cross-sex bathroom usage, into federal education laws. Detractors have called the Department of Education's rules reinterpreting Title IX a rewrite of the law because they tried to open other pathways.
Federal court went ahead and vacated Biden's interpretation of Title IX, which is a federal immigration law that bars discrimination on the basis of sex. Now, this law is decades old, but Biden's interpretation was kind of novel because it sought to rope in transgender and sexual orientation status into the term of sex, which extends protections that are controversial and that are always under debate.
Title IX rules are especially pertinent to institutions that accept Title IX funding, like the University of Wyoming. A Jackson cocaine kingpin was sentenced to 80 months in prison Thursday for running a large-scale cocaine network in Teton County. He was accused of selling at least 10 kilos of cocaine that netted him more than $400,000. Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson reports that Marlon Forrest almost got a more lenient sentence, but at the last minute, U.S. federal court judge Kelly Rankin decided he didn't qualify for it because he managed others also dealing cocaine.
So long story short, he ended up having to be sentenced for more time in prison than what he was originally going to be considered for. It was probably a few more years. We don't know exactly what Raskin was about to go with because he never actually said it out loud. Forrest really lived kind of a double life while he was selling cocaine. He also had a regular job that he worked in addition to selling cocaine on the side.
Wolfson reports that Forrest wasn't an avid cocaine user. Instead, he was more interested in making money. However, he expressed remorse before his sentencing on Thursday. Last week, a young Colorado bull elk tried taking a shortcut up an icy, near vertical slope, but became trapped when his antlers got tangled up in rope and was left facing a slow, painful death. Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines reports that the bull got lucky. Wildlife agents and ice climbers teamed up and pulled off a creative and dangerous rescue.
They tranquilized the elk and then rigged him up with some ropes and lowered him back down the slope, and he recovered from the tranquilizer, so all's well that ends well. I'm amazed that he was able to climb that slope to begin with, much less somehow managed to get his antlers tangled in the rope. But luckily there were some people there that pitched in to help, and they got him free.
The bull was stuck at a popular ice climbing spot near Lake City, Colorado, where a rope was installed to help people hoist themselves up the very steep slope. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting the daily newsletter button on cowboystatedaily.com. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Reilly Strand for Cowboy State Daily.